This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment blog, coming back to you with a baseball weekly observations for the off season. Hot stove season. That's where all the rumors and everything happens with trades and signings. Now a lot of players now are signing extension in their 20s so that they don't risk going to the free agent market in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're not getting money. And there's a lot of players age 32 and up that are on the market. There aren't that many prime guys in their prime of their career, like ages 26 to 30, that you want to sign to a long-term deal. No longer those long-term deals signing guys to their 40 years old, those 10-year, long-year deals. Sometimes you get those with extensions, but you don't get them with actual free agent contracts. Now with the regular season was the last time I spoke to you guys, and the playoffs happened. Now, the Twins and the Yankees both won 100 games and lost. The Red Sox are supposed to be the favorites. They didn't make the playoffs. And the Astros got to the World Series as favorites. Now, in the National League, everyone thought the Brewers and Cubs would be good teams in the playoffs. Cubs didn't make the playoffs. The Brewers lost the wild card. Cardinals won the division, and they got to the championship round. They surprised a lot of people there. And in the Braves, they lost to the Cardinals after winning the division. The Dodgers lost to the Nationals, who got that wild card spot. And the Nationals then beat the Cardinals. And the Nationals beat the Astros in the World Series in 7 games. It was great. Both sides had great starting pitching, some good relievers, and clutch performances from their hitters. And it came down to Game 7 at Alda with the bullpen decision of Garrett Cole. Should he relieve or not? Which reliever you should use? Should you take out Zach Greinke? And you can question all that stuff. But it was a pretty good World Series. The Astros lost, but they won 2 years ago. The Nationals haven't won a World Series since the Washington Senators. So it was pretty nice for baseball history to have a team that's never won it. And the Nationals used to be the Expos. The Expos never won it. So though in terms of team record history, that is great for them to win it. Now, the best thing is that the offseason, everybody have a chance. They always think they can win the World Series. Now, it's not like basketball and football where it's getting all the headlines of all these great impactful moves because of the impact of free agency, them players coming up earlier, signing them to extensions, paying for what they're going to do, not what they used to do based on their past accomplishments. So there aren't as many as good free agents, and there's a lot of things in the offseason. Now, when it comes to the catching position, the best catcher on the market is Yasmani Grandal. Now, Yasmani Grandal has the opportunity to make a lot of more money after last year only signing a 1-year deal. He can get himself a multi-year deal. Now, he was given a qualifying offer, and we know that a guy's not going to accept it because he wants to make more money in the free agent market, because most of the other catchers on the market are all backup catchers. Now, Francisco Veli has been a starting catcher. Robinson Chirinos has been a starting catcher. So is Yan Gomes. And so is Jonathan Lucroy in his past. So is Russell Martin in his past. And so is Martin Maldonado. And in the past also, Steven Vogt's been a starter, and so is Matt Wieters. But all these guys at this point in their career, they're backups. They could be starters depending on the team that really needs a catcher. But it's really Yasmani Grandal is the catcher you want in the market. Now, there are some teams that need catchers and some teams that don't. The White Sox, the Tigers, and the Royals, and the Indians don't need catchers. The Twins are letting Jason Castro go because Mitch Garver surprisingly had 31 home runs. That was great. The Yankees have Gary Sanchez. The Red Sox have Christian Vasquez. And I think the Rays like having Mike Zunino. The Orioles have young catchers. And the Blue Jays have young catchers. The Rangers have Jeff Mathis, but they could look at Yasmani Grandal, but they like what they have. The Astros can re-sign both their catchers, Maldonado and Robinson Chirinos. The A's need a catcher because Josh Phegley is good enough to be a backup. The Angels also had a hole of catcher. They could use a catcher as well. And the Mariners had 3 or 4 catchers, so they have to decide between them. The Cubs have a catcher. The Cardinals have a catcher. The Pirates have to figure out what they're doing at catcher, but also what they're doing as a whole. And then you have the Brewers, who are losing Yasmani Grandal to free agency, and they have Manny Pena at backup. So they got to decide what they want to do. And the Braves, Brian McCann retired. They re-signed Tyler Flowers, but at the end of the day, they may have to figure out what they're doing catcher. The Nationals have Kurt Suzuki, and they let Yan Gomes go, so they can figure it out if they want. The Mets have Wilson Ramos. They can figure out if they want to keep him or not. The Marlins are going forward with Alfaro, and JT Realmuto's an all-star caliber catcher with the Philly. The Dodgers have all these catching prospects, and Will Smith played really well for them this year, so they're good there. The Rockies may have to figure out their catching situation. The Padres have Austin Hedges, and the Giants have Buster Posey, and the Diamondbacks have Carson Kelly. So there's maybe 5 or 6 teams that need a catcher. Yasmani Grandal is the best one on the market. The rest of these catchers are just trying to fill the Band-Aid. Now, when it comes to first basemen on the market, all of them are all over the age of 30. Basically, Matt Adams at this point is a DH backup. Yandra Londa is a backup. Justin Bohr is a DH backup. Mitch Moreland, Steve Pearce, their backup. Justin Smoke is probably the only one that could be a starter, but he's 33 years old. And Eric Thames can play right field and DH, and so he's more of a backup. Ryan Zimmerman could call it quits if he doesn't re-sign with the National. He's 35. Jose Abreu is the biggest free agent on the market, but he's also got a qualifying offer, and he wants to stay with the White Sox, so he can accept it, or the Sox can work out a new agreement that's for like a 5-year deal, long-term deal, just to lock him up, so he can be in the Sox as a first baseman and DH to end his career, because he's one of those Cuban free agents who didn't come over when they were a teenager. He came in when he was in his late 20s, early 30s, so, he does not have the longevity that others will have. Now, second base, most of the second basemen on the free agent market, they're all guys who can be backups. They're not really stars. Gordon Beckham, Derek Dietrich, Wilmer Flores, Logan Forsythe, Brock Holt, Howie Kendrick, Brad Miller, Chris Owens, Joe Panik. Those guys could be backups. Asdrubal Cabrera lost his third base job in Texas, but then played some second base for the National. He's on the market. Brian Dozier, who was on the Nationals, he could start, but he's become a free agent. His stock has gone down. Starting Castro has wasted some years in Miami. He could help a team at second base or even shortstop if you really want to try him there. A lot of these guys are flexible guys who can play in all other places. Kipnis, he's battled injuries, and he's not really a second baseman. He's more of an outfielder. Now you can sign him because he has been a starter. Jonathan Scope is 28. He's one of the younger ones in the market, but he's kind of been on decline. His defense isn't that great, but he can help teams out. And Eric Solgaard and Kelby Tomlinson and Sean Rodriguez, they're great backup utility players. Devin Travis, he's 29, so he's not even 30 yet, but he has battled injuries for the last I don't know how many years. The Tigers traded him away because they thought, he's never going to stay healthy. And that seemed to work out for the Tigers and not worrying about him. Now, shortstop, Didi Gregorius is probably the best shortstop in the market because he's just turning 30. He's become a two-way player, but at the end of the day, you can make your decision if he's really good defensively or offensively. Figure it out. Because the rest of the backups, Danny Espinosa, Danny Echeverria, and Jody Mercer. Jody Mercer can start. But the Tigers, when he came back from multiple stints in the DL, had him play second and first base. So he's really, at this stage, is more of a supporting player, not an everyday player, probably. And Jose Iglesias is a Gold Glove caliber shortstop. Now, he didn't win the Gold Glove this year like a lot of people thought he would, getting away from the American League with Lindor and Andrelton Simmons. But he's still another guy you can out there if you just want a glove-first guy. Now, third base, Josh Donaldson's a qualifying offer probably, but he's not going to take it. He's looking for money because he knows that the teams that need Anthony Rendon, like the Phillies, the Nationals, the Mets, the Rangers, there are plenty of teams that need a third baseman. The Dodgers will look at him too. The Angels need a third baseman. There are plenty of teams that need a third baseman. Anthony Rendon is going to cash in. So that leaves Donaldson as the next guy on the market. Now, Josh Donaldson is 34 years old, but he's still good. He's missed time with injuries. He was a late bloomer, so 34 is not really his age for his career. So after Rendon goes off the market, Donaldson will try to pick up the pieces. Team's looking for a platoon guy that can play multiple positions. Jed Jerko, he's 31. He can play second, third, and first, and the occasional left field. Teams that are desperate can pick him up. Mike Moustakas, even though he's not a great defensive third baseman, he's definitely not a second baseman. Teams can pick him up to be their corner infielder, first base, or DH. They can also look to see if Martin Prado's interested in not retiring and being a utility player on the roster. Pablo Sandoval is more of a pinch hitter backup. It's really Todd Frazier, even though he's 34 years old. Like Josh Donaldson, he could be that other third baseman that cashes in if Rendon, Moustakas, and Rendon are off the market and teams are really need a third baseman. Now, Edwin Encarnacion, 37. He's getting up there in age. But all you want him out there is to hit home runs, and he get 20, 30 home runs in his sleep. JD Martinez picked up his option. The Reds are looking to trade him. So if you can't get yourself a great slugger in the outfield or a DH, you could trade for JD Martinez. Lomo got hurt with the Twins, missed all of last season. This season, he played minor league contracts into being a backup on the Phillies. He's only 32. People can give him a low, he's a high reward, low risk candidate. And Mark Trumbo, he's also battled injuries the past couple of years, but he's only 34. You're asking the DH, no days of playing him in left field. You can get him. And when it comes to left field, the best option in left field is Brett Gardner, but he's 36. He's battled injuries. Do you really want to worry about him? Curtis Granderson, he's 39 years old. Is he ready to call it quits? Milky Cabrera was a backup this year. Matt Joyce, he was pretty good as a backup role player on the Braves, but is he good enough to be an everyday left fielder, or is he the DH? And then the youngest guy on the market is Mason Williams, but he's a former Yankee player who hasn't turned out, and the Orioles let him go. So it really says a lot. And the other guy is Corey Dickerson at 31. He has a Gold Glove on his mantle, but he's not really good defensively. He was a Silver Slugger as a DH and All-Star with the Rays. He was a great hitter with the Rockies. At 31 years old, I think it's good enough to sign him to a multi-year deal. that at the same time that he he is somebody who can be that first baseman maybe or DH. He's a candidate you can get as a guy you need offensively as a DH in this market. But the best is Marcell Ozuna, but he's definitely not going to accept this qualifying offer. And people don't want to give a draft pick attached to him, but he also can be the guy that could be your right fielder, he could be your left fielder, he could be a DH. He's the best one on the market, so he's going to be the most sought out one. And when it comes to Alex Gordon, he could retire because the Royals don't want anything to do with. The Royals don't want to bring him back for all that money. And it comes to center field. There's no real great center fielder option on the market. Davis, Dyson, Billy Hamilton, Juan Lagares, Adam Jones, Charlie Tilson, they're all guys who are not the same player they used to be. They're backup. They're not that great. Adam Jones played well enough in Arizona, but he's not the starter everybody he's not the player he used to be. That's the issue with him. And in right field, Cole Calhoun is 32 and he's on a decline. I know he's good defensively, but his offense is on a decline. Do you really want to sign him to a long-term deal? And Nick Castellanos is a third baseman playing right field when he's not even a good outfielder. So if you sign him to a National League team, you may have to look at it as maybe he's playing first base or left field and not right field. Alani Chisenhall had a lost season as a corner outfielder for the Pirates. So you don't know what to do with that. And Avi Garcia has played a lot of games at DH for the Rays, and he's not the world's greatest defender either. That's the problem. And Carlos Gomez briefly played this year. Nick Markakis went back to the Braves, and he's getting up there in age. And John Jay missed most of the year due to an injury, and he's more situational. He could play all over. Same thing with Cameron Maybin. He played because of injuries. Geraldo Parra went from being an everyday player. He's a bench player. Hunter Pence mostly DH'd at this point. Yasiel Puig is one of the younger ones at 29 years old like Avi Garcia, but it comes to all the question marks of if he can stay healthy, if he's consistent, everything is going on. So Yasiel Puig might be the young guy in the market with Avi Garcia, but do you really want those questions? Guys like Castellanos, you know he can hit. Guys like Hunter Pence, you know he can hit. And we all know that Cole Calhoun can play defense. That's an issue. Now, starting pitching-wise, we all know that guys like Garrett Cole and Steven Strasburg are both on the market. They're going to be out there. Strasburg opted out. Cole has a qualifying offer. Those are the guys you're going to target. So is Madison Bumgarner out there. Now, for teams that are looking for buy low candidates, Barrett Anderson's a great one at 32 years old. He could be a back-end starter that you really, really need. And at the same time, Jared Eichhoff at 29 has been inconsistent with the Phillies and injured, but he's young. You could try that out. Kyle Gibson's only 32, but he's been a consistent enough back-end starter. Gio Gonzalez is 34. He's on a minor league contract this year with the Yankees and then went to the Brewers. He could totally sign him. You can only get another major league deal, sign him to a minor league deal also and see what happens, but he's good. Cole Hamels is 36, but if you just want him in the back of the rotation with experience, that's good. Rich Hill probably retire. Edwin Jackson is more of a placeholder. It's Keuchel that teams are going to be looking at if they don't get the top guys because he's no longer an ace, but you should look into him. Jordan Lyles pitched well for the Brewers the past few seasons. He's 29. It's just health is an issue. Wade Miley at 33 had a great year with the Astros, so somebody's definitely going to pick him up. Shelby Miller had a horrible year. Matt Moore was injured, but those are candidates. And at the game, Ivan Noah pitched okay enough with the White Sox that somebody will sign him because he's only 33 years old. Jake Odorizzi got a qualifying offer. He's been on decline. Not a lot of people want him, but he's going to be out there. Martin Perez, he was mostly healthy this year, and he's 29, so people could take a chance. Pineda has the drug suspension, so a lot of people will be looking away from Rick Porcello. He's been on decline since the Cy Young win. He's 31, but we know he's not going to get all the money he got when the Red Sox got him. He's somebody that you can get cheaper. Tanner Roark is a great back-end starter. You can save money there. Tyson Ross was in with the Tigers, but he's a back-end guy with a sentence-lative deal. Hyun-Jin Ryu could win the Cy Young, and he's only 33, but he's battled injuries, so it's up to you. Danny Salazar is 30, but he's also battled injuries. Now, Drew Smiley, he's battled injuries and inconsistency. Dan Straley got all the way to AAA this year, so it was a low point for him. Tehran is like Madison Bumgarner. He's a guy you really want to look into because he's 29 years old. He's been down, but it's still good to have him. Walker's 29. He's pretty young, but all the injury and inconsistency. Zach Wheeler got a qualifying offer, and he's battled injuries, so you don't know, but he's a guy people are going to target. Alex Wood, if he has that battle injuries, and even though he's 29 years old, you got to worry about him. So there's some of those guys there. And when it comes to the relievers on the market, some of the better ones all have risk too. Kyle Bearclaw is 30, but he's battled inconsistency issues. Dylan Betances, he's been very good as a colder setup man, but he got hurt this year and barely pitched. Jerry Blevins is up there in age. Brad Boxberg hasn't been good in 2 years. Brad Brock has bounced from teams. Andrew Kashner and Trevor Cahill pitched in the bullpen this year, but they're also trying to get themselves major league contracts as starter. Cingrani, he's battled injury. Steve Chiswick was the Cubs closer this year and wasn't that great. And Chris Davinsky's been in a decline even though he's 29 years old. Jake Diekman has been pretty good. You can sign him. Brian Dunston's getting up there in age. Sam Dyson was pretty good, but health issues are there. Carl Edwards, he's 28, but he's battling injuries and health concern. And the next people on this list, like Blaine Hardy, he's been pitching for the Tigers bullpen. He's been okay. Will Harris is getting up there in age, but he was one of the better Astro relievers. Now, Jeremy Hellickson pitched out of the bullpen this year a bit. Same thing with Felix Hernandez. But they're looking for major league contracts as starter, but they may have to settle for relievers like Derek Holland has become at the same time. Now, Daniel Hudson, despite having like 3 Tommy John surgeries, pitched really great this year. Some may look into him. Jared Hughes is 34. It's like Tommy Hunter. So they're guys you can look at. Sean Kelly's 36, but he pitched really well. Brandon Kinsler's 35, but he pitched really well. Now, Francisco Liriano pitched really well as a reliever this year at 36. You can get him. Aaron Loup pitched really well as a reliever for the Padres. Now, Colin McHugh has started and relieved. So he could be a wild card. You can sign him to be a 5th starter or he could be a reliever, and that could work out for you. And Brandon Morrow, if he stays healthy, he could be great. But the problem is he can't stay healthy. And Pat Neshek is 39 and he can't stay healthy. He's probably done. Juan Ocasio is a failed starter trying to be a reliever. He's been up and down. Dan Otero was pretty good for Cleveland, but he's 35 years old. Dave Phelps hasn't been healthy, but he pitched well enough for the Cubs this year. Drew Pomeranz, he's trying to get his starting job, but he could be a reliever for you. And Fernando Rodney's 43 and he won his World Series, so I don't know what he's going to do. And Sergio Romo was 37, so that's the age concern. Hector Rondon, he's a good guy to decide. He's 32, he's not that old. And Fernando Salas got the age issue, and Santiago has bounced around. Jason Street's 29, so you got some luck with him. Will Smith is 30. He's probably one of the prime candidates on the market, but I think he has a qualifying offer attached to him. Correct statement's been good, but he's 36. Strope is 35, so you're getting there. Where Ryan Tapara at 32 is one of the younger ones you can sign. Johnny Venters had all the Tommy John surgery. Josh Tomlin is a starting pitcher pitching out of the bullpen. Aroldis Vizcaino, he's only 29, but he missed all the year due to injury. Adam Warren failed as a starter, so he's trying to get back as a reliever. And Stephen Wright had injury. He's going to be out for the whole year, and he's been a starter for most of his career. So a lot of these guys, even if their age is 26 to 29, they have the injury concern. Anybody over the age of 30, they have the age issue. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason. Every single week, I'm going to give you updates on players who were signed, traded, or retired and give your opinion. But I will say happy trails to Brian McCann at catcher, Cliff Pennington at shortstop, and I think Adam Rosales at shortstop as well. And CC Sabathia has retired. So those are some of the guys who retired. David Freese has retired. So we got all these guys who want to say happy trails to. So that was Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog with the first weekly baseball offseason video. Check out for more on YouTube and On the Radar. Thanks.